From WXOW, this is La Crosse's own News 19 Live at 5.
Developing news this afternoon, an armed bank robbery suspect in Alma Center has police on high alert. And La Crosse police are still searching for answers today as well after a man was stabbed to death on a downtown street. And a deadly disease in deer, CWD, has a Minnesota county reopening the hunting season. Good evening, everyone. I'm Heather Armstrong. Developing news first. An armed bank robbery this afternoon has police on the lookout around Alma Center. Now, it happened around 1 this afternoon. Police say the suspect is a white female, approximately 5'6", weighing about 170 pounds. Also wearing a black hooded jacket, a black hat, and black pants. If seen, call 911 right away. And police believe today's incident could be related to a November bank robbery in Black River Falls. Again, this is a developing story. Stay tuned to News 19 for updates. Police are still searching for answers today after 42-year-old Virgil Stewart was stabbed to death early Wednesday morning. It happened just before 2 a.m. on 7th Street South in La Crosse following an argument among 3 people outside of a taxi. Now, one person involved in the altercation, 39-year-old Anquin San Junius, now in jail on unrelated charges, according to the police report. Upon attempting to leave a 7th Street residence by taxi, Junius and one other person were approached by Stewart. That interaction turned into a physical fight, resulting in the stabbing of Stewart. No arrests have been made at this time. The police department determined it to be an isolated incident, posing no threat to the public. Now, the last homicide investigation in the city of La Crosse was of 38-year-old Eric Sackett in August of 2018 in the relation to the June death of Erin Samvalai. We turn our attention now to our forecast. Dan Breeden joins us now, and it was a beautiful day out today.
Yeah, it was. We expected the temperatures to turn around. That they did. We will continue that trend on into the weekend. It looks like we'll be heading for the 40s for a couple of 3 days. First, you can see the satellite and radar indicating a few high-level clouds, that is, streaming across the region. We'll see a few of those on and off overnight tonight. Otherwise, mostly clear. We're not expecting any precipitation. Temperatures right now at 36 degrees here in La Crosse. It's 37 in Winona, around 36 degrees up in Black River Falls. For the rest of this evening, we'll gradually drop into the lower 30s by midnight as skies become mostly clear. We'll have more details coming up in just a bit. Heather?
Thanks, Dan. Wisconsin Governor-elect Tony Evers has named 3 new cabinet members today. Here are his new top Democratic lawmakers. State Representative Peter Barca will be Secretary of the Department of Revenue. State Senator Caleb Frostman will be Secretary of the Department of Workforce Development. And former Obama administration official Andrea Palm will lead the Department of Health Services. All newly elected officials will be sworn into office in just 4 days. That's on January 7th. Well, today there's a new Congress in Washington, House Democrats taking control, and Nancy Pelosi regaining the gavel to become the next speaker. Now, the first major challenge ending the partial government shutdown as President Trump demands billions of dollars for his southern border wall. ABC's Kenneth Moten reports from Capitol Hill.
Nancy Pelosi regaining the gavel, the first woman to become the Speaker of the House more than a decade ago, making history again.
I now call the House to order on behalf of all of America's children.
The 116th Congress, more women, more diverse.
Our nation is at an historic moment. 2 months ago, the American people spoke and demanded a new dawn.
With House Democrats now in control, first up, a showdown with President Trump in the middle of a partial government shutdown.
Democrats will be offering the Senate Republican appropriations legislation to reopen government later today. To meet the needs of the American people, to protect our borders.
House Democrats moving to approve bills which fund the government, but not President Trump's southern border wall. Trump claiming the fight is about 2020. The Democrats know they can't win based on all of the achievements of Trump, so they're going all out on the desperately needed wall and border security.
Do you solemnly swear that
Vice President Pence swore in members of the Senate where the House bills are a non-starter for the GOP majority, despite voting for similar bills just 2 weeks ago that never passed the Republican-led House.
The Senate will not take up any proposal that does not have a real chance of passing this chamber and getting a presidential signature. So let's not waste the time.
We need to take the lead here in Congress in the hopes that we can show President Trump the sweet light of reason.
With a new speaker and congressional leaders now in place, President Trump has invited them back to the White House tomorrow to continue discussions. Kenneth Moten, ABC News, Capitol Hill.
Other records broken in the new Congress sworn in today: 2 LGBTQ senators and 8 LGBTQ representatives to be sworn in. Now, the most women in history and a handful of firsts. The first Native American woman, both from New Mexico and one from Kansas. 2 from Minnesota will become the first Muslim women to serve. And Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez will be the youngest woman ever elected to Congress at the age of 29. This year, women played a key part in Democratic midterm victories. Former presidential candidate Bernie Sanders is apologizing for alleged sexual harassment and pay disparities among the 2016 campaign. Now, the New York Times reported that several women who worked on the Vermont senator's campaign came forward saying they'd been harassed by campaign members and paid less than male counterparts.
I am not going to sit here and tell you that we did everything right in terms of human resources, in terms of addressing the needs that I'm hearing from now, that women felt disrespected, that there was sexual harassment, which was not dealt with as effectively as possible. So I certainly apologize to any woman who felt that she was not treated appropriately.
Well, Sanders also stressed that during his 2018 bid for U.S. Senate, his campaign established new protocols for handling sexual harassment allegations. Now, he says if he runs again in 2020, his campaign will, quote, do better next time. Indiana authorities are searching for a U.S. soldier accused of killing his wife. They're now declaring him AWOL. Well, it started back in late November when the 21-year-old soldier, Peter Van Bouwen, attacked his wife, threatening to kill her. Well, he was charged with assault. Then, on December 22nd, his wife went to pick him up from the airport and was never seen again. Authorities say the next day her body was found stuffed in a suitcase and dropped in a dumpster. That same day, Leon caught a plane to Thailand. Well, back in the Badger State, a Lake Mills family still grieving, remembering firefighter Chris Truman killed on New Year's Eve. Now, as we've reported, Truman was struck by a suspected drunk driver when he pulled over off duty to help a stranded motorist. Reporter Ashley Sears shares his story through the eyes of family and friends.
I just want him back. And this pain is going to last forever.
Amber Turfel struggles to find the words to describe her grief.
He once said to me, honey, I just want to be remembered as a hero. And he got his wish.
The Lake Mills woman remembers her fiancé, Chris Truman, killed on New Year's Eve.
He loved what he did. He wouldn't regret ever getting out of that car.
The off-duty firefighter died when he stopped to help a driver on the Madison Beltline near Monona. Investigators say Samuel Kremers was driving drunk when he struck and killed Truman.
Compassion was the big thing with Chris. I mean, he cared about everybody. He just was that type of an individual.
The loss is being felt especially hard at the Lake Mills Fire Department. A small memorial sits outside as his friends inside describe the type of person he was.
He was doing what he's done for 13 years in a different role, you know, and ultimately died doing what he loved to do, and that was to help somebody in need.
A procession carried Truman's body to a funeral home in Lake Mills. A man who never hesitated to help is being remembered for his kindness.
It's not that he did the good that he did so he could be a hero. That's just who he was. But he just wanted to know that it was appreciated and noticed.
Funeral services for Truman are still being finalized. Meanwhile, the suspected drunk driver is in custody, being charged with homicide by reckless use of a vehicle. Well, additional late season opportunities are opening up to Houston County hunters after a deer killed during opening weekend tested positive for CWD. Now, both residents and non-residents can participate in that hunt. It runs from January 25th through the 27th and picks up again between February 1st and 3rd. The DNR is requiring all deer shot in the extended hunt to be tested for CWD at check stations. Now, if you'd like to learn more about this and where to get your deer tested, go to the Minnesota DNR's website. Well, certain medications are being pulled from shelves because officials are concerned that they could cause cancer. The drug maker Aurobindo is pulling 80 lots of the blood pressure medicine valsartan. It might contain small amounts of a chemical that's linked to cancer. But the FDA says don't just stop taking it because that could lead to even greater risk. They say call your doctor first to get an alternative substitute. Well, cases of a highly contagious stomach bug are popping up all across Wisconsin, and some are mistaking it for the flu. Now, often called the stomach bug, the norovirus attacks the stomach instead of your respiratory system. Now, there is currently no cure for that virus, but doctors say making sure to wash your hands can help from spreading it any further.
One of the big things I always try to remind people with norovirus is hand sanitizer isn't guaranteed to be effective. You need really good warm soapy water for at least 20 seconds before you can really say, hey, I've really scrubbed my hands clean. So once again, it's very important to warm soapy water.
Diarrhea, abdominal pain, and vomiting typically begin 12 to 48 hours after exposure and last 1 to 3 days. Other symptoms, nausea and chills. Well, 2 lacrosse committees weighed in on the Erickson house and whether or not to proceed with turning the donated property at 3120 Farnham Street into a transitional home for veterans. Well, last night, the City Plan Commission, followed by the Judiciary and Administration Committee, heard from both of those in favor and those with objections to the proposed home. Speakers in favor of the project say no more than 8 vets should be at the home at any time, and that research shows no impact on local property value. Neighborhood residents who are opposed to the plan said their neighborhood already has 4 community living homes. They also felt that their opposition to the facility was vilifying them on social media.
Anytime you have that little bit of fear, it's just hard on people. This is a very emotional subject for everybody involved, whether people voted for it or against it.
We need to take care of our veterans in this community. This is an avenue to do that, is give them transitional housing.
And the City Plan Commission unanimously passed the proposal. They voted 5-2 in favor of the measure. Next week, the project goes before the full City Council. Well, coming up, time to chuck what might be the most infamous holiday food. We'll tell you why. Plus, Wisconsin businesses are jumping on the bandwagon when it comes to selling CBD-infused products. But health officials are concerned. We'll have those details when we come back.
You're watching News 19 Live at 5 with Heather Armstrong and Chief Meteorologist Dan Breeden. Live at 5 continues right now.
CBD oil in cocktails is a new trend, and some say it has health benefits. Now, 2 restaurants in Wausau are offering it on the menu. Despite the trend, though, there are some concerns with CBD oil. The Neuroscience Research Center director at the Medical College of Wisconsin says there's reason to believe that CBD may help with anxiety, sleep, and inflammation, but limited studies on humans have been done. One concern is that it's not regulated like other drugs.
A drug you buy from the pharmacy, there's a lot of controls over. We just don't have those kinds of controls in place right now over the hemp-derived products.
Dr. Hilliard warns that like any crop, CBD can be contaminated by pesticides, heavy metals, and mold. Now, both the Great Dane and Daly's in Wausau say they work with suppliers to make sure their CBD is up to standards. Well, if you've received fruitcake over the holidays and it's still sitting around uneaten, it's your lucky day.
Today, Thursday, January 3rd, is National Fruitcake Toss Day.
Now, if you remember, National Fruitcake Day was December 27th, a time to celebrate the infamous treat.
But now let them fly. Literally, in some places in Colorado, people actually compete, hurling that dessert as far as they can.
And it's called the Great Fruitcake Toss. It's been an annual event for 22 years. So, Dan, you can have the honor.
Happy National Fruitcake Toss Day.
Were you a fan? Did your mother make it?
You know, we had them when we were very young. I was not a big fan of it. It was like a big giant brick.
That's so funny. I've never had one, and I don't want to, so. All right, so tell us about this beautiful weather.
We continue a warming trend. We'll also have plenty of sunshine. Temperatures will edge back up into the 40s by the weekend. I'll have details when News 19 Live at 5 continues.
Now, your Storm Tracker 19 weather.
Southwesterly winds finally tapped into warmer air. We saw those temperatures rise into the upper 30s to lower 40s around the area. Kind of interesting here, 37 degrees at La Crosse. Typically, La Crosse tends to be a bit warmer than the surrounding area, that is. Not so today. 41 up in Winona, 40 degrees in Black River Falls and Sparta. It was 40 degrees as well in Boscobel. Going forward, it'll be a mild overnight. Temperatures only falling into the mid to upper 20s, well above average for this time of the year. And the warmer trend will continue for tomorrow. A westerly wind should help to bring those temperatures up into the lower to middle 40s. Warming trend then continues right on through the weekend. Looks like Saturday would be the warmest of the days. We'll drop back just a little bit as we head into Sunday. So satellite radar at this time indicates a few high and mid-level clouds kind of roaming across the region with the return of the warmer air. Certainly no precipitation with that. We'll have a few of those on and off as we head through tonight. And then probably tomorrow it looks like most of those are going to remain to the north. So expect plenty of sunshine and a very nice Friday. Temperatures right now 36 here in La Crosse. It's 35 up in Eau Claire, 39 in the Twin Cities, 37 degrees in Mason City, around 36 in Decorah, 35 in Black River Falls. Overall, it's a very nice evening to get out and enjoy an outdoor walk here. Very unusual for January. Southwesterly winds in place at this time. They're already starting to come down just a bit. We're averaging around 10 miles per hour. So the temperatures at 36, it feels more like 28 degrees with that south wind. Our pressure is falling and our river stage at 7.63 and slowly rising. The high today 37, the morning low was 17 degrees. That puts us well above average once again for this time of the year. There's your record low, 23 degrees below zero. That was set back in 1919. Futurecast indicates the couple of main jet streams actually, one across the southern portions of Canada that's allowing Pacific air to flow in. There's another storm track that's taking a fairly impressive storm system over the eastern United States, but that's going to stay well away from us, and we'll deal with this part of the system. Warm front swings through. That'll help to push the temperatures up through tomorrow and into Saturday, probably Sunday as well. The cool front to the north here most likely gets hung up and stays to the north into early next week. For us tonight, look for a low near 29 degrees, just a few clouds, a southwest wind at 5 to 10. For tomorrow, the high 42, mostly sunny, a west wind at 5 to 10. For tomorrow night, the low near 29 degrees, we'll have partly cloudy skies, a light southwesterly wind at 3 to 8 miles per hour. The extended 7-day outlook, Saturday sunshine and 45. Partly sunny then on Sunday with a high temperature of 40 degrees. Going into Monday, rain is likely. We could have some early snow for Sunday night, but not much accumulation there, 42 degrees. Then on Tuesday, partly sunny and 38, sunshine and 34 on Wednesday. Then Thursday, mostly cloudy with a high temperature of 38 degrees. So temperatures, they are continuing to be very warm here over the next 7 days. Heather?
All right, sounds good. Thank you, Dan. Coming up, kids' screen time can be hard to avoid, but health officials say while it's tough to do, it's proven to help in the long run. We'll tell you how when we come back.
From WXOW, this is La Crosse's own News 19 Live at 5.
Nearly 98% of kids in the U.S. live in a home with at least one mobile device. Now, while it's becoming harder to limit screen time, a new study shows parents who do set restrictions on recreational use of their devices might have kids who perform better on tests.
Researchers looked at 4,500 kids between ages 8 and 11. They found those who used their smartphones and other devices for less than 2 hours a day performed better on cognitive tests assessing their thinking, language, and memory skills. The Canadian 24-hour movement guidelines recommend that children between ages 5 and 17 get at least 1 hour of physical activity, have no more than 2 hours of recreational screen time, and get 9 to 11 hours of sleep each day. The researchers found only 5% of the kids studied met all three of these recommendations. 63% of the kids spent more than 2 hours in front of screens. While it may not be the norm, setting restrictions on screen time could benefit your child in the long run.
Apple recently released a new advanced parental control system to help monitor kids' screen time, and Google now has features to limit that screen time as well and monitor use on Android devices. Stay with us. We're back in a couple of minutes. Well, Scott Hackworth joins us now to tell you what we're working on at 6. Hi, Scott.
Hi, Heather. The fatal stabbing this week in La Crosse is, of course, a setback to efforts to improve the image of some La Crosse neighborhoods. Find out how the city officials are working to reduce the factors that lead to violence. Plus, UFA puts out a call for public support. Find out what UFA does and why it's so important to the culture at 6. Heather?
All right, thank you, Scott. And this great forecast, the sunshine felt good today.
Yeah, it was nice today. We had temperatures mostly in the 30s, a few lower 40s around the La Crosse area, but we'll expect even warmer temperatures for tomorrow. We should drop to around 29 degrees. That's warmer than the average high temperature for this time of the year. We'll top out around 42 degrees. The average high is 26 degrees. A nice stretch of weather through the weekend.
All right, we're going to enjoy it. Thanks for watching, everybody.
Good night.